Hello and welcome to the day ahead. It is Monday, July the 7th. I'm Andrew Gagan. Well, the local market is set to begin the week flat, with the ASX having closed on Friday above the 8,600 level for the first time. US markets were closed on Friday for Independence Day, but global investors remain focused on the US, with President Trump signing his tax cut bill into law. This comes ahead of his July 9th deadline this week for countries to secure trade deals with the US will be punished by tariffs. S&P 500 futures edged down 0.6% on Friday, while global equities fell also, with the Pan-European Stock 600 index down 0.5%, with the banks, mining-related stocks and retailers among the top laggards. The Stock 600 is up around 6.5% so far this year, while the S&P 500 has now eclipsed the Stock 600 in terms of year-to-date gains, with fears about US tariffs hitting European stocks. The S&P is up close to 7% at a record high, thanks largely to gains in big tech. The Nasdaq also closing at record highs, notching a third week of gains, and the Dow is just shy of its own record. Meanwhile, the VIX, Wall Street's fear gauge, has fallen around 67% from a peak following Trump's tariff announcements in April. However, in Europe, investors remain wary of new listings. German medical tech firm Brainlab postponed its IPO last week, citing geopolitical uncertainties, while pharma company Starter delayed its debut in March, citing market volatility. And Glencore-backed metals investor Cobalt Holdings, which was planning London's biggest IPO of this year, failed to secure enough investor interest. Well, as President Trump's July 9th deadline approaches, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has indicated that some countries lacking an agreement by the deadline on Wednesday will have the option of a 3-week extension to negotiate. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen has said the EU was aiming for a trade agreement in principle with the US before the deadline. Japan has sent its chief trade negotiator to the US, with a deal between the two countries having stalled, the Japanese PM saying they will not easily concede in those negotiations. Indonesia has offered to cut duties on key imports from the US to near zero and to buy $500 million worth of US wheat. And China has imposed duties of up to 35% on brandy originating from the EU for a period of 5 years. Well, Eurozone producer prices in May fell 0.6% month on month and rose 0.3% year on year as forecast. ECB President Christine Lagarde saying, "We have a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unpredictability around us at the moment, but on the price front, we will be certain and stable." Well, here at home, Australian 3-year government bond yields have fallen to 3.31%, the 10-year yield down to 4.22%. Markets pricing in a 95% chance. The RBA cash rate, currently at 3.85%, will be cut by 25 basis points tomorrow, with at least 3 more cuts in the easing cycle. The US dollar index unchanged on Friday, with risk-sensitive currencies underperforming. The Aussie is down at 65.5 US cents. And Bitcoin is trading back above 109,000 US dollars. Oil futures slipped slightly in thin holiday trading on Friday as the market looked ahead to the OPEC Plus meeting on the weekend, with members agreeing to lift production by a larger than expected close to 550,000 barrels a day in August. Brent crude futures at $68 a barrel. Copper was down 1.5%, iron ore easing to $95 a tonne, and gold rebounded on Friday to be up for the week, trading at around $3,333 an ounce. Locally this week, today we get ANZ job ads for June, NAB's business survey for June tomorrow, and the key interest rate decision from the RBA. Thursday sees business turnover for May, as well as CBA's household spending indicator for June. Overseas, Tuesday, the New York Fed inflation expectations for June. Wednesday, the Reserve Bank of New Zealand delivers its interest rate decision with no change expected. And China reveals its consumer and producer prices for June. Also on Wednesday, the Fed's minutes from its last meeting and US initial jobless claims and the federal budget balance. That is your week ahead. We'll see you again tomorrow.